5 Thank you. Like 5 concepts or 10 concepts at a time. So it was kind of very agile work. So the tools we had at hand, they didn't meet our needs. So we decided to create our own. And now I will pass the word to my colleague, Hanna. Hello. My name is Khonskaya. I'm a pharmacist and developer here in Khonskaya. And I'm very glad and proud to be here and present our tools. So, one technical. We'll see. Maybe you can change it. Let's get it done now. Okay, let's start with the architecture of SNOMED tools and backend first. We use cloud service DigitalOcean for keeping our Snowstorm server because the environment they provide contains all other installations we need and gives us required memory and processor's power. The installation is a bit challenging, but all steps are well documented. So, since Snowstorm is a SNOMED CT terminology server built on top of Elasticsearch, which is a powerful search engine, our first step was to install Elasticsearch in the cloud. And the second step was to install Snowstorm. And after that, we needed to upload the latest F2 file to get SNOMED CT data. So we got our own database with clinical terminology that we could adapt for our needs. Once the server was in place, we started to develop our tools that we needed. Thanks. For applications, JavaScript and React are used as a front-end. And front-end communicates with backend via endpoints in Swagger, via endpoints in Swagger interface that Snowstorm provides. In general, all tools are built on the concept of sending different HTTP requests to our Snowstorm terminology server. Then we display the data from the response, or we send more requests to aggregate more data and then display it. Of course, you could use Swagger interface directly, but it's too difficult and too slow because you have to fill and use all required endpoints and sometimes write schemas manually, and it's not easy to avoid mistakes. In all our tools, we always use 2 endpoints as base features. The first one is implementation of SNOMED search by term or by concept ID, and the second is allows us to get all valid branches for chosen terminology server. The subset tool. The first example we are demonstrating is a tool for adding members to a set. The purpose of this tool is to enable the editor to browse and edit a set or a subset. This is how application looks at the start before interactions. For this application, we made refset option configurable so we can manage refsets dynamically. And in addition to base features listed above, we use more endpoints. As soon as we choose the refset, these 2 endpoints were used. The first one gives us all member for chosen refset, and the second one gives us also local Norwegian preferred translations. So this is how it looks when requests were finished. We can see the number of members. For example, now it's 97. We can see SNOMED concept ID, a fully specified name, preferred term in English, and preferred term in Norwegian. We also can hide member from the list by clicking one of these red buttons. And by this action, we start two requests. The first one deactivates the member, and the second one gives us updated view of this window. Now it's still 97 members visible. And here it is. Now you can see 96 members. Yeah, and under this window, you can see a green button, and it allows us to add new members. So after clicking this button, we get extra area. And here we can put one or many SNOMED concept IDs. And when we press Add Member button, we trigger these three endpoints. They do check if the entered concept IDs are valid. Then if the set doesn't contain yet the same concept, and after successful check, the third endpoint is triggered. And new member or members will be added. So now we can see again 97 members and the added description, added member. So, and in a translation tool, our the second example I would like to demonstrate. In addition to the subset tool, we also needed a tool that could update a concept with a completely new description, or create or edit an existing one. So, as mentioned before, we use the same two base endpoints for getting branches and for SNOMED search. On the page, we display all active descriptions for the selected concept by this endpoint down on the page. We can press edit button to get editing option. That's how it looks. So the updating of a concept includes a term, language set, and an acceptability status, acceptable or preferred. According to the rules, we cannot edit the description with a fully specified name and descriptions in English. And also, it should be only one preferred description for each language for each language set. So when I save my changes, this endpoint down on the page is triggered, and the application guarantees the implementation of these rules. If otherwise, a user will get warnings. So we can also add new description by clicking at the description button. And the same, we fill the fields according to the rules, and the same endpoint down on the page is triggered. And now we can see two custom descriptions that we can edit or hide again. And we can also deactivate descriptions and hide them from this window. For that, we just press this red button. Then we get a confirmation window. When we press yes, then this endpoint triggered again, and description became deactivated. So, summary.
So, as you see, we had our own terminology server that allows us to have our own database with the clinical terminology and that we could apply for our needs. with our tools. And the tools enabled us to work with the terminology that we needed for the antibiotic guidelines in an agile and efficient way. And it saved time and simplified the work process. The digital content platform delivers the recommendations, both as readable text on the web page and as a detailed API with SNOMED CT concepts. So, thank you.
Thank you very much, Hilde and Hannah. And so now I'll go ahead and take any questions. Those online, go ahead and type your question into the Q&A box, and I will watch for those. Anyone here in the room, if you have a question, go ahead and raise your hand, and I'll come over with the microphone to you. Just looking to see if we have any. So just kind of looking around the room and, oh, okay. Before I move away from that.
I would say that we have a very diverse group here, and I was just wondering, how difficult is it for a non-developer to get a terminology server up and started?
Okay, it was my first task when applying for this position, but my background is medical, but still I manage it because all steps are well documented, and if you meet some problem, you can just Google, and all questions are already answered. So it's like it can take some time, but it's possible.
Well done using the resources.
Everyone can do it.
Yes, Ingenev, Germany. Thank you for your interesting talk. In terms of clinical decision support, is it also important, and how heavily you used something like expression constraint language to to exploit the coded SNOMED coded guidelines and to retrieve them? To retrieve them by upper codes and to look to all the subcodes, that you use the power of the Snowstorm terminology server by using expression constraint expressions, for example. ETLs, you don't know?
No, I
Okay.
don't know.
Maybe.
Right to answer?
Yeah.
We're using ECL, of course, when moving up and down in the hierarchy. But to get a little bit detailed, when the Norwegian Directorate of Health is like tagging a drug antibiotic, we're using medicinal product form, but then we use ECL to get actual clinical drugs. But that's the Norwegian Directorate of Health who has done that. And for the rest of using the power of ECL, it's more like an implementation thing, I believe. So it's something we have in no, exactly. So the Norwegian authorities should absolutely do that. Yeah.
Any more questions here in the audience? I'm actually going to go up here and check online.
We will also be happy to demonstrate the tools at our stand that we have here today. So we can show you more real time than not just the slides.
Yes, you're very welcome.
And we do have one question from online from Pedro. Are you working on a full translation of the SNOMED CT into Norwegian using the translation tool that you've developed?
No. It's not for like hundreds and thousands of translations that go through a workflow. This tool is not for that purpose. Yeah.
Excellent. One more call, because I think we have time for one more question in line. Oh.
Thank you very much. Those very interesting tools. How did you distribute these kind of mini releases that you did, and sort of who consumed them, and sort of how difficult or easy was it for them to sort of use these kind of little mini releases?
Well, it's just the Norwegian Director of Health that is using our this terminology server. So it was kind of very easy.
So it was the same environment that
Yeah,
you were
yeah.
working. Okay,
Yeah.
so you didn't do a formal release to vendors or something.
We did releases to this server, but it didn't impact anyone else.
And we have one last question online. Rodriguez Pio says, great work. Can you share a little bit about what's in your roadmap?
Well, we want to work more with validation of the tools and make them even better and improve them. Yeah.
Well done. Thank you. Thank you so much. Everyone, if we can give Hilde and Hannah a round of applause. With that, I conclude this session and see you all in the next.